Hey, welcome to the stream. Uh, Good morning or good evening or afternoon or wherever you are in the world. Uh, what's up? So let me just move around here. All right. So I'm actually just sort of sorting out some textures to use. Uh, let's see. So I have a substance tool here that I use in sort of a wonky way, but that's all right. Uh, where's this guy? Foreskin. Here we go. Yum, 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 yum. Foreskin. What's up? What's up here? Hi everyone, welcome to the stream. And Unity crashed. Cool. Cool, 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 cool. Cool. Let's go ahead and open Unity back up. Just crashed. Let's see if it Oop, don't look at that. All right, so um, today we'll be using Materialize. We're going to generate some textures. We'll be using Sculptress to paint that little monster that we were working on the other day. And let's see if Unity will be cool. Will it be cool? Be cool, man. Be cool. Okay, that's kind of annoying. I think if I click on that and go to standard again, I think it's going to crash. So that's annoying. Let's see. It's pretty obnoxious, so I guess I'm gonna just work with I had an older version of a simplified version of this texture. So here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate this guy. I just need to generate a sort of a texture for my monster. I'm creating 3 layers to the monster. For the texture, I'm creating what looks like bone, something that's fleshy, and some fur. So I have the fur set up already, but I've got a couple sliders here. So I don't want. Okay, yeah, I'll make the fleshy stuff now. Um, you can see it generates this sort of wet look to it. Yum, yum, yum. The cube doesn't look real good, does it? All right. Donut. Yum! Ooh, I would eat that. Yum, yum, yum. Eat it up. Okay. Recommend that you use an audio bit rate of 128. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Can anyone hear me? Is the audio good? Let me check OBS here. Yeah, good? No? Yum. That's pleasant. Okay, so we're gonna um I'll make the flesh here. Actually, then I don't want it to be dry at all. I want the flesh to be quite delicious looking on our monster here. This is gonna be for this fellow right here. So let's go ahead and crank up the fleshiness. Uh, we'll leave the fur off and the balance. So you got sort of pustules there, or sort of bumpiness. That makes it look a bit more textured and bumpy. So let's go ahead and have that. So we want flesh, bone, and fur. This will help differentiate this from the bone part of the animal. Dryness. And the veins. I want to dial back the veins a bit. Yeah, I don't really care about the veins that much. Okay, cool, cool, cool. So, there's a lot to it. I'm going to get that out of the way now. So actually, this is sort of an ungraceful way to do this. Um, but because I just need the source image, uh, it's not super important. Um, how you get to the end, the journey is what matters, I guess. Okay, I had my first setup there. Um, Let's go and get that to 2048. Again, this is a actually no, we'll go 1024. Yeah. Let's go 1024. 1024 by 1024. We're gonna move this bad boy. Again, this is not a super graceful way to do it, but it's just a pretty fast way for me to generate these base textures and then create um, the more important stuff out of it once I get the ball rolling here. So generate that. Um, all right, we want to get rid of that. Again, this is not a great way to get to the end product, but I have a number of steps that sort of fix that up, and this is just the start of the product here. So let's go flesh. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. We'll go back to this, and we will close that. Should send that back to the proper window here. Or skin 2, that's the one we were working on. I want to create a sort of a bone look. Um, oh man, I actually wanted. Can I do that instead? Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So I think that last image just gave us a bit of that was a 512, wasn't it? Okay, 1024, 1024. Right? No? Does this give us a high? I'm just gonna try this again, see if it gives us a higher resolution thing. Did I? That looks quite pixely, doesn't it? I'm not sure. Let's see what happens here. If it's the same thing. We're just gonna see if this is the same. Yeah, it is sharper. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and fix that up here. Go ahead and move that. There we go. We'll tile it and then we'll adjust the seams after the fact. Okay. Content aware, just fix it. And the seams there don't matter because this is just the first step. Oh no, I got too many veins on it. That's fine. That's fine. Flesh, yum yum yum. And then we'll close this, go back to our other window. And 3. So let's go ahead and take the blood out of there. Generate a new thing here. Hello? There we go. Let's see, veins. Probably reduce that. And then the gross bumpiness. Let's go ahead and reduce that. Something like that. Put that back in there. Okay, that's good enough for now. Yeah, that's all right. That's not too bad. Okay. Actually, no, I'm not real happy with those bumpy bumps. Let's go ahead and get rid of those. So I think we go back to again, this is an older version of this sort of um, texture generator here, but the newer one is crashing and it was working yesterday, so Unity can be a little temperamental, but that's, whatever. Okay. Behavior actually bake into substance. Okay, go back to, yep, diffuse on this guy. It's still got those. Okay, so what's the deal? Is it always? Yeah, unfortunately, I can't seem to use the newer version of this tool, so that sucks. Did I get him? Looks like it's good now. Cool. Okay. Now we will go ahead and Format this again. I'm not super concerned about the tiling or the outright resolution or whatever because again, I'll show you in Materialize we can fix up the all that stuff in Materialize. Okay, let's go ahead and clean that up. Okay, and this is going. Oh, hold on. So I want this to be the bone part of the creature. So actually, we're going to desaturate. I'll give it a little bit still. What I'm going to do is adjust my levels. Okay. And with the bone part of the texture, a lot of the magic is going to come from the PBR, physically based rendering maps. So things like your metallic and your bump maps, and that's really going to help it look like bone. This is just going to be the base um, color for that. Okay. We'll go bone. Yum, yum, yum. Okay. Now we're done with those steps. Let's go ahead and shrink that down for now. We're going back to Materialize again. This is a free program, so anyone can check it out. And we'll go to C. Hey Barry, are you still there? Or did you check out already? Okay, we'll go into the workspace. First we'll work on flesh, since that's what we were working on. Yum yum, look at that. Okay, there's our base. So the first thing that you do in Materialize, I'm just going to go through it quickly. I can always come back and make adjustments, but we won't waste too much time. There, I'm still quite new to Materialize, so there's quite a lot I have to learn about using this program to its fullest. So the first thing you have to do is generate your height map. The other maps are generated based on the height map, and the reveal slider just sort of shows you you know, the base color and then what your height map is going to look like. I actually want this to be kind of intense. You have presets here, uh, but I'm just going to sort of adjust these, and when I kind of see what I like in terms of what's going on there, then I'll stop when I see something I like. Okay. I do want it to be quite contrasty. Okay, we'll set that as a height map. Okay. So now we're able to generate our other maps. Uh, we'll generate our normal map, which is usually one of the most important ones. Yum, that looks delicious. I'm gonna go crisp. Oh, no, never mind. That's too crisp. Mids. Let's give that some contrast. I do want the flesh to be quite gross, but I'll rely on the metallic maps to make it look delicious, I suppose. Okay, we'll set that as a normal map. We'll create our metallic maps. I want my lows to be quite low here. Again, I'm still quite new to using uh, uh, Materialize, so I'm not quite as fast as it, um, but I could be. I'm not quite as proficient, so everyone learns. Don't really care about the smoothness map at the moment, and I'll generate an ambient. I'll just do the default one. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to save the project. I'm in my workspace here, and we will go flesh one. Cool, 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 cool. All right, we'll go show full material. So this is sort of an exaggerated sort of, because I exaggerated my height map in order to get more detail out of the other stuff. But if I were to sort of calm down my height map a bit, and I don't want to, because I have an idea of what I'm doing with this, then it would be smoother. It's quite mountainous right now, but that's taking into account using the height map to increase the height of the thing. But from a distance, you sort of get a better idea. And I'll fine tune the metallic map. Actually, let's create this map here. So it does take the smoothness map into account, but I'll fine tune all of that anyway. Okay. Um, so we have that. We'll go ahead and go to our tile maps now. So here's what I was talking about before in terms of tiling map lets you get rid of the seams. So I'm going to put this to 2. Let's see what it says. I'll go to crank this right up. Let's see, I'll try and do it in a way that you can see the seams. Um, it's already close to seamless anyway. I'll go to 2.5, and with edge fall off, if you crank that right up, you can sort of see where the edges are coming in and out here. Uh, but if I do that, it's probably a bit more visible. So I'm going to crank that fall off right up, and it does make the seams pretty much disappear. So I'm going to decrease the, you can increase and decrease the overlap into a really to taste, really, what you think it looks best as. I'm going to decrease the fall off here. Just eyeballing it, I think that looks, not too bad. Okay. Um, hey Barry, are you playing Final Fantasy VII Remake now? Go ahead and save this. Wait, hold on. Set maps. Set my maps. There we go. Okay, the next we're going to do is the fur. Again, we're starting from scratch. All right. Um, yeah, I'm a massive Final Fantasy fan. Seven's my favorite one, but it's a bummer I don't have time to play the game at the moment. I have a lot of work on my hands, so I keep saying at some point in the future I'll be able to catch up on my backlog of games, but by that point, I'll need some sort of emulation feature that lets me play games in fast speed just to get caught up properly. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. Turn up the intensity on this guy. Um, that's going to lose detail here. Final bias. Let's try and get that in a way that makes sense. Okay. Seems to make sense to me. Let's set as the height map. Let's create our normal maps. I'm going to go crisp on this. Oh no, we're losing some detail there. Okay, so we're going to go back to our height map. Hold on. We've lost something here. Let's see. What if I tone down the contrast? There we go. Okay. Set that as the height map. Go back to our normal maps. There we go. Crispy, huh? Yeah? Okay, good, good, good. Increase the contrast on this. I want it to be quite sharp, so there's a lot of depth to the fur. Hello, Nanashi. What's up? Welcome back to the stream. All right, see you, Barry. Take it easy. Thanks for hanging out on the stream. All right. So yeah, we're I don't if you just got here, Nanashi. I was creating three different textures for the creature we were making the other day. So we're just creating the sort of the the normal maps and the specular maps for it. So we're creating texture, um, uh, flesh, bone, and fur, and then I'll start painting on the creature, and then we'll see what's going on there. Okay, so that that's looking okay for the texture map. We'll create our metallic maps here. I'm not super concerned with the metallic maps at the moment. Again, I can always come back and make adjustments. I'm just trying to override. We were just working on a previous texture, so I just need to overwrite them. Okay, create those, set as AO maps. Now I'm going to tile my map. And fur, I think I don't want the fur thread, the fur hairs to be too big and visible. So you can see there's quite visible seams here, and the edge fall off isn't really helping me with that. I'm gonna crank that to 2, and it does make the seams less visible. I'm going to work on the edge fall off here, so I'll see if I can get rid of that seam. Crank that to 2.5, and I'll increase the overlap. It's still quite visible. But when it's on the actual creature, because this isn't going to be the only texture on the creature, um, the seams it won't really be visible once it's on the creature. All right, I'm kind of let's see, I'm kind of happy with that. Check my tiling a little bit more. You know what? I'll take this. I'll take that. I'll set my maps. Okay. Everything seems to be updated. I'll save my project, and this is going to be for one. All right. Was it C clear? Is that what that does? I I again, I'm still new to Materialize, so I don't really know. Nanashi, are you playing Final Fantasy VII? Oh, I wish I could be playing Final Fantasy VII right now. Let's go ahead and open up phone. Cool, cool, cool. All right, create. Put that at default. Cracks. I do kind of like that actually. Let's go ahead and set that. Uh, it's the height map. Let's go ahead and create our normal map. Um, I don't want the bone to be so bumpy. I actually want the bone to be quite smooth. So I'm actually, yeah, yeah. Set that as the normal map. Let's create our metallic maps. Set that as metallic, and then we'll have a look. Set a smoothness, and then our ambient occlusion. Okay, and then again our tile maps. So we don't need it to be uh, tiled so much because it's supposed to be bone. And again, we can always adjust the metallic values of it later on. I'm not super concerned about that. Let's go ahead and set the maps. This one's, it doesn't require as much attention as the other maps right now. Okay, and then we'll go to phone. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so we're pretty much done with Materialize at the moment. We'll go ahead and quit that out. All right, we'll go back to Sculptress. Okay, it seems to have remembered our project from the last time. Um, I actually need to finish this, so I've got to finish this front leg now. I'm pretty happy with the rest of the guy, and again, I can always come back and make adjustments if I want. Uh, but in Materialize, once you start painting, you can't go back to sculpting mode, so you're gonna have to uh, finish your sculpt and be happy with it. So I'm just gonna move my stuff around. I'm not using my mouse or keyboard for this. I'll be using my tablet, and I'll have a sip of my coffee. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I'm not sure if I want to use. Again, I use multiple styluses. I've got different settings on them, and I got different tips on them as well. Different. You can customize the sensitivity options for each one. All right, so I think his ankles are a bit thin here. So what I want to do, I'll use the inflate tool, which I didn't use. I don't think I used it last time. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're just going to, I think the legs look a bit too thin, like they look like they can break very easily. So we're going to inflate that a little bit, and I want his feet to be a little bigger. So we're going to use the scale tool, and this brush size is a bit too big. So let's go ahead and increase the size of his clompers here. Let's see. Those look like good clomp. I think the clompers should be a little bigger. Clomping around the countryside here. All right, actually, I'm I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, I'm actually in the same boat as you, Nanashi. Um, I I again, all of my money I invest in development, and like in Australia, a new game is like $90, uh, which sucks. And of course, everyone's in in quarantine, so you got to spend your money on the important stuff. No one can really go out and get a part-time job right now as well, so that's a bummer. So hopefully at some point um, the game will go on sale at some point in the future. All right, so I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing. I'm gonna smoothen this out here so I can start focusing on the details that I want to. I haven't touched my PS4 in a while since I got my Switch. I mostly um, the one of the only games I can play at the moment is Smash Bros. Because I can play a match that takes like 3 or 4 minutes. So often while I'm working, you know, uh, I'll hit the deploy button so I can make a build of my games. And while the game is building, I can open a round of Smash Brothers and I can play that online really quick. Um, but other games, I actually can't play them during development. I tried playing Pokemon for a while, but it takes a lot of attention. And I would take breaks when the game is building. Sometime a build could take like 20 minutes. So I have a stationary bike, and then sometimes I'll ride on the stationary bike, and then I'll play a little bit of a game. And I was playing Pokemon for a bit, but I got sick of Pokemon um, congratulating me for doing nothing. You pick up an item on the ground, and everyone in the game is like, "Oh wow, you're so amazing! You're the coolest boy in the whole world!" And I'm like, I didn't even do anything yet. Um, you beat like a random trainer, who has a couple of Caterpies or Weedles, and they're like, "Wow, you're the greatest trainer I've ever seen. You're definitely going to become the champion." And it gets annoying. Uh, so I sort of stopped playing Pokemon Sword, but maybe I'll get back to it at some point in the future. I don't know. Yeah. What country are you in? I'm in Australia, and new games like I'm not happy paying $90 for a new game, especially a couple years ago. The Australian dollar went way up, and it was pretty much on par with the American dollar. So we were paying. I it's been a long time since I've lived in America, so I don't know what Americans pay for games right now. Um, but when I lived there, I kind of remember you could get a new game for like 40 or $50. So I really don't like going to the shops here and seeing that I'm going to be paying um, like some games you'll come out and they're like $110, $120, and I'm thinking I don't know about that. That doesn't seem right somehow. Some meat on the bone there. Ah, okay, interesting. Okay. Um, yeah, I might check out Yokai Watch. Then Yokai Watch doesn't do that. It doesn't treat you like a little kid. Because I grew up with Pokemon, and obviously, I'm from the generation that should like it. But I'm kind of a grown up now, and I don't really want to be talked down to. Um, so I don't know. Hopefully, I can look at the game with a different perspective at some point later on and enjoy it. But I'm not really enjoying Shield, which is a huge bummer because I want to. All right, let's. All right, let's give this guy a front clomper right here. He doesn't have a clomper yet. Let's give him one. What would make this front clomper kind of creepy is to make it sort of like a hoof. I'm trying to do feet that um, don't really look like an animal that exists. Otherwise, it'll be too relatable. Like these, that looks like it's something that's not quite right. That doesn't look right. Um, that's how I've done the back feet there. Um, After the stream the other day, I worked on the spine a little bit, so I added a lot of definition. Then I smoothed it out so it looks like there's bone popping out of there. and I added these details. That's a vestigial arm that didn't quite fully form and it sort of just stuck under the skin, and it's sort of like trying to poke out of the skin. So there's some fun little details that we got going on with this fella. Ah, that's so expensive. That's that's so much. Um, yeah, I'm doing a giveaway on on Silver Falls right now because I know that, I'm in the same boat as everyone else in the world, and that money's tight right now. There's much less money. Uh, and it's a bummer being stuck at home and not being able to spend time with family and friends. So I am doing the giveaway for 3 Down Stars right now. So if you know anyone that still uses 3DS and would like a chance to win a copy of the game, go ahead and let them know. Because that's sort of my way to sort of help people that are stuck at home and they're really bored. Um, and I'm trying to arrange a sale at the moment. Not sure on the final details yet, but I would like to get a sale going to help more people get a copy and play the game. Let's see here. So you can sort of spend hours adding details to this. It's really fun, uh, especially with the tablet. It's a lot of fun. If you have a pressure sensitive tablet, it's very cool. All right, so I want to make it seem like he's got a bit of that thing going on. He's got a bit of that. This dangly bit can be right here, okay. Now, as a rule of thumb in general, things that are round and smooth are adorable, they're cute, and things that are angular and have edges are not cute. So, I mean, these clompers look kind of cute right now, so what I'm going to try to do here is uh, sharpen it up so it's not so adorable here. Make it seem like there's a bit of a joint here and a line, and it gets less and less cute the more lines you add to it. I guess that's why chibi things are so adorable, is they're so round and soft. I'm going ahead and increase the strength on this. Alrighty, and I want to make this hoof-like, sort of like a cow type thing. So we're going to try and add some separation here down the middle. Actually, we'll go ahead and do this so our separation is nice and clear. Alright, okay. Now what we'll want to do is we'll want to taper it. So we'll go to pinch. We're going to pinch these here and try and bring them to a point. So they're kind of to a point. Where's my grab tool here? I want to bring the points down a bit, like that. And then our grab tool again. Oops. On global, okay. Grab tool. We want to shape this again. I want it to look a little bit like a hoof. These hoofs are kind of weird looking. Alright, cool, cool. I'm going to go to my smooth tool here. Alright. Go back to our crease tool. Again, we can use the texture map as we're painting this to put more separation in there. I'm not happy with that. Let's go ahead and undo that. Okay, and like that. There we go. And I want the crease in here to be a bit tighter. I'm going to reduce the size on that. And in. Cool, 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 cool. And then we'll rely on our texture maps to put even more detail in here. We'll sharpen this up a bit. Okay, so what I want to do is just add a bit more clear definition here. The whole point of artwork, uh, especially in games, isn't necessarily to create something um, realistic, but something that expresses an idea. And if you don't clearly express the idea, then that your artwork is not helpful to the audience or the player. So that's sort of how I view when I'm creating artwork for the games and graphical assets. Is it useful for the player or audience to look at this thing that I'm making? So I kind of want this one to look like a bit of like a human calf, because then it makes it a little uncanny, and then it's sort of upsetting to look at. Seems like I got a bit of a bone structure going on in there. So I put some hard lines in there. What I'm going to do is soften some. I'll see what's going on. Um, okay, see you later, Nanashi. Okay, so I'm just smoothing this out a bit. I am losing detail a little bit, but I can also always come back in and put more detail back in there later on. Uh, go ahead and smoothen that out. Ooh, no. Oh no. Cannot see. Uh-oh. We'll zoom out. Okay. All right. So I'm about to finish up the model here, but I'll probably come back to it again. But I'll get started on the on painting just so we can start seeing what the painting process looks like, and we can sort of see how our textures look. And if the textures don't seem to achieve the effect I'm looking for, then we'll go ahead. We'll go back to materialize. We'll adjust the textures, and then we'll start again. But I have a feeling that I'll come back here to make more adjustments to this fella. I do need to smoothen this out. So see how that doesn't look quite good, right? But I never panic over things like that, um, because a smooth tool does give us a lot of control uh, over that. So I'm going to see, I didn't want to do that. It's too much. Might reduce the strength on that. Let's clean that up just a little bit. And again, the normal maps will help us with separation. I can always come back and do more work on that. So I don't want to smoothen too much here. I want to keep my detail there. Okay. And now, so logically, I'm sort of looking at this thing, and I don't think it makes a lot of sense. Um, so I'm going to smoothen this part out here. I'm going to increase the strength on my smooth tool. And what I want to do is I want to make it seem like this is a bone that connects, because I'm imagining a joint right here. So I'm going to use my draw tool, and I'm just going to make it feel like there's a joint here. Now, if you want something to have um, to seem like it's a joint, or to look like it has tendons and things like that, just give it a little old bump. So I'm going to put a little bump right there and a little bump right there, and that breaks up the line, and then it makes it look a bit more like it's um, an actual appendage or knuckle. There we go. That's quite gross to look at, I think. Okay, we're gonna do the same sort of thing here. A little bump right there and adds a little detail. We'll use the pinch tool. This little bit down here is kind of round, so it's a little cute for my taste. So we're going to sharpen that up. We're going to grab it, reduce the size of the grabbing tool, and bring it out just like that. So it's a bit pointier. And I think I'll add some lines to it as well to add some detail and sharpen it up, because it's still looking sort of cute here. So I'm going to go to my crease tool, and I'm just trying to imagine where the lines would be in this fellow. Okay, and then we'll smoothen that out. reduce the size of that. Okay, 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 okay. Again, this part doesn't look. Again, you can spend hours and hours working on this sort of thing. So what I'll do is I'll save. And what I like to do is I save in stages in case I get to a part where I don't quite like what I've done. Actually, I want to build this up just a little bit more here. Doesn't seem the way I want. Okay, that seems a bit better to me. All right. So I save in stages and I do S1, S2, S3, S4. So if I end up doing something that's way too destructive, um, hi Rock, yeah, what's up? Thanks for jumping in the stream. Um, yeah, if I end up doing something I don't really like with the model, I can go back to a previous stage. So I'll start painting, and I know that this is just going to be a draft painting stage, but I want to get an idea of what my textures are going to look like as I'm painting on this fella. So I'll go ahead and S5, um, and I'm going to start painting on this guy. So, Rock, yeah, I'm not sure if you were here earlier, but I was preparing some textures that we're going to be painting on this fella. Go to my workspace here. So we generated a bunch of these using a free program called Materialize. Icons. So we'll be using our map. So we've got a bit of a fleshy bit, and I think that's kind of looking too red actually. So actually, I might go ahead and tone down how red that is. I'm not a giant fan actually. Go to my reds. I'll reduce that a bit. Yeah, that might be better. I'll go to my levels and I'll just do a bit of this, pinch my levels in a little bit, get my brights up, and I might tone down the redness again just a little bit. Reds. There we go. And again, this is a very flat look, but once we have our metallic maps in there that sort of express the shininess, it's going to make a big difference. Go ahead and I'll save this as 2. Cool, cool. Thanks. Um, Rocky, are you playing Final Fantasy VII at the moment? Then remake? I would love to hear about it, but in a way that doesn't include spoilers because I think at some point in the future I'll be able to play it. So I was so zoomed in when I was working on that clomper down there, I just realized it's much smaller than I would like it to be. So one thing I'll keep in mind that I already know I want to do is make that clomper a little bigger actually. Okay, so we've got textures here. I'm gonna add those new textures I've been working on. We're going to our workspace. First I'll add is bone. Okay, we have bone, we have flesh. That's the new one that I made. And our fur. Cool, 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 cool. Okay. I can save that set. Actually, let's just go monster 1. Okay. All right. Brush. All right. So I created some brushes as well. Oh, they all stored in here, huh? Okay. 2. I created these brushes in Photoshop. They took a couple seconds. Um, I just used their brushes, painted some things out, and then saved them with transparency. Yeah, that's right. That way, you kind of, I mean, when you're creating something, your brain's so intrinsically tied to it. I mean, back in your brain, you do kind of remember what you've done with the stages. And again, you can always go back to the stages. It's very easy to open the stages and to see, oh yeah, I did this or I did that. So you can see it gives you sort of a transparent view on the texture that you're going to paint on your fella. So I'll go ahead, I'll start with the bone, and um, I'll use this texture right here, okay? Oh, all right, so we're painting his face first. I know that I want the head to be the bone texture. Excuse me, in terms of hardness. Let's go ahead and put that there. And my idea for this guy was to sort of have him look like a creature that's sort of been starving. So I want it to be um, the skin and fur on his face is sort of rotted away, and the bone is sort of pulling out through the skin. And I want his clompers down here to be bone as well. And then you'll have a layer of skin that sort of is peeling back from the bone, and then a little bit of fur here and there to give him um, interesting texture. When I'm considering the textures for this guy, I didn't get to do so much on our 3DS game on Three Down Stars because it's very flat um, uh, lighting, and we didn't have physically based rendering, which gives you like the shininess in the normal maps. But when I am designing them, I consider the environment that these creatures are going to be viewed in, and I know that it's going to be very spotted light. You're mostly only going to see this guy in your headlights or with the flashlight. So I'm considering textures that look interesting in that lighting and that offer a lot of dynamic um, in terms of how interesting it looks. I want the spine here to be bone as well. And I know that I'll go over most of it with skin, but I do want parts of the spine poking up through the skin. So there's that. So I'm just gonna paint it all the way through. What I like about painting and sculptures is as you zoom in and out, you can see that it scales the the actual texture itself. So if I sort of did this, it would actually look lower resolution. I'll do that. And it'll look a bit lower resolution. But if I zoom in and do that, it'll look sharper and have higher resolution. So I think that's very cool. So it's something it's keep in mind when you're zooming in and out is the fidelity of your texture and what it's going to look like when you paint on it. Let's see. Yeah, I was saying earlier, I haven't touched my PS4 in literally forever after I got my Switch. And I've still been um, I have games on there that I would love to play, and they're just kind of sitting on the shelf. Um, I think I only played like 2 hours of Resident Evil 7, which is annoying because Resident Evil is one of my favorite franchises, and I was enjoying 7, uh, but the problem is I play games for a little while, then I think, oops, it's time to get back to work. I should be making my own games right now, and aside from games, you have marketing responsibilities, you have PR responsibilities. So if you are working by yourself or with a small team, you don't get a lot of free time for games, and it does suck. Um, but it's it's worth it being able to create your own games and share it with other people. It just sucks that you don't get to play the games that you really enjoy. Uh, but that's part of life in general, is finding work-life balance. And I haven't found it yet. I bet one day I'll have work-life balance somewhere somehow. So I'm considering the painting of textures here, and I know that these are tendons and muscles, so I know that those are not going to stay bone, but I want to paint the flesh on top of it. I'll go ahead and save this guy here. This is going to be, I'm going to put an A after this. I often do this. This is 5A because I know that this is not going to be permanent. This is more of a reference, so this is a test run. So I'm just going to see how it's going to look when I've got my stuff going on there. Okay, I'll start putting, oops, start putting flesh on there, and then I'll see uh, how it looks. So I'm going to switch over to one of my other brushes here. Um, I want to I want to see what this one looks like. I want to create a bit of a strained look. Uh, so it looks like the flesh is sort of trying to hang on to the bone, and it's not quite getting there. It's not exactly the effect I'm looking for. I think I'll save that for the fur. Uh, I'll switch my brush maybe to this fellow. Ah, okay. Hmm. Let's see, directional. So we'll keep changing direction as I paint. I will do that with the flesh now. So directional means that, see, I'm getting this ugly tiling look here. Directional is supposed to sort of, see how as I move around, it's sort of moving the texture in the direction. I'm going to hit random and see if I can mix that up a bit because I don't want it to look very, very tiled because things that are organic shouldn't look tiled. Okay. I'll try and use another brush to create flesh streaks and things like that. Actually, I'll try and test it now and see if I can get the effect that I'm thinking of. So, like say for example, I know that I want these to be tendons here. I'm going to shrink that. Oop, too small. Uh, hmm, I got to reduce the hardness here. What's up with that? What is up with that? Okay, try that. Okay. Look, I'm kind of getting there. Let's see. That's supposed to be bone there. Uh, know that I wanted this part of the mouth to be quite fleshy. Let's go ahead and color that in. Ah, come on. Okay, we want to color the inside of that as well. Oops, too small. Still too small. We can always come back in and add more detail later on, but the gist of it is there. You can spend as much time as you want on small details like this, but it just adds that um, extra bit of interest and visual detail to it. There we go. Something like that. Okay, and I did actually want to go in there. I'll have to set up another texture. I want it black on the inside just to help communicate how empty it is. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll just quickly fill this in just so we can get an idea of how this fella's going to look once it's all painted. And then we can start dropping some fur on there, and then we can see what the deal is. Okay, here we go. Fill that in. And again, the scale of the texture changes as you zoom in and out. You can actually change the scale of your paintbrush, so you can get it to be more or less dense in terms of detail. I might want to create a new brush, so I might go back into Photoshop later, create a new brush, so I can create one that's better at making streaks, sort of how the flesh attaches to the bone. Let's go ahead and save our progress a little bit. I'm on 5A right now. Um, Actually, I'll go back to this fellow right here, see how this brush looks. Okay, and this is something I'll spend more time later on with, but I want to paint it in such a way that looks like the flesh is strained and it's hanging onto the bone just barely. Uh, We'll run a quick test. We'll just do a bit of this, and I know where the bone is located on each particular part here. So we'll just fill in the color like that first. Got a bug flying around my face. Yeah. Okay. So that's sort of the idea I had. Uh, Bone. I'm gonna switch over to the bone texture now and just start shaping this up a little bit. Put that on there like that. And what we'll do is we'll switch back to bone. And then what we'll do is again, we don't have our normal maps in yet, and normal maps make a lot of impact on the expressed shape of your geometry. I'm just going through this quickly again. It's just a test to see how it's going to look, but I will have to make some more brushes. I can see now I'll have to make some more brushes to get the effect that I had in mind. Okay, this is sort of a brief thing here. Got this bug flying around my face. It's quite annoying. So that's sort of the idea that I had with that fella. I mean, you can kind of sort of see it, but I'll go back later on, create more brushes to get the effect I'm looking for. But I want the effect of the flesh barely hanging onto the bone here. I'm just going to go ahead and color in the rest of this now. I don't know how to make this bug go away. Oops. Let's go ahead and switch. All right. Color in the rest of the blank spots, and we'll start putting some patchy fur here, and then we'll see what sort of effect we get. Again, this is just a test. I'm sort of seeing how the textures fit, then I can make adjustments as I see fit, and then come back later. So you can see how I worked more zoomed in over here, so now it's more texture dense there, and it's less dense here. So I can, again, I'll always come back later and then make it more or less dense. There's a bug that's flying around. It's very annoying. All right. I think, all right, so what we'll do now, again, this is another test. I wanted to see how this is going to look using this little star brush that I made. This bug, man. Okay. So let's just start. We'll start here and see how it's going. I already have a Pepsi. Ah. Oh, thank you. Blueberries are very healthy. Antioxidants are good for you. Okay. All right. I'm kind of getting the effect I'm going for here. Um, Increase the hardness and the size of the brush. Huh. Hmm. I'm just considering and thinking about what I am happy and unhappy with. I would make the overall texture darker so I can see that it's way too bright. But again, the metallic maps would have an effect on that. If I had a very metallic texture, then it doesn't really matter if it's a brightly colored fur or not. So I'm still see it. I like the visceral look of the muscle there. I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want the fur on this guy, and that might be too much. Again, I can always remove and reduce it. Look, I'm not super happy with how it looks right now. But again, this is just a test, so again, I'll be fine-tuning it as we go along. I don't know exactly how much attention I want to draw to the vestigial arms that are just there, but I do know that I want it to be apparent in some way. All right, let's go ahead and give him a little bit of fur right up to that point. But again, that's too much distribution for the fur, and I would have to. So where I know that I'm going to put the fur, what I would actually do is I would go back to the 3D model. I would inflate, and then I would smooth it because right now that the fur doesn't pop up from the flesh, which is a bit of a visual dissonance. It doesn't really make sense. And also make sure to eat blueberries for antioxidants. They're good for your health. They help you focus. So what we'll do is, again, this is just a bit of a test. So what we're going to do is export this. I'm going to paint in the flesh right up to his clompers. We're going to drop it into Unity, and then we'll see what it looks like in the game itself. All right. So let's just fill in the detail here. Again, I'll have to come back with another brush uh, so I have a better visceral attachment of flesh to the bone. Right now, I just made 4 brushes quickly, and they're not getting the effect that I wanted. Okay, so that's not look. It's not the worst thing in the world. Look, it's just a test, so let's go ahead and let's do something. Let's paint in his little butt here. There we go. There we go. He's got a cute little patch of fur on his little butt. Okay, so we'll save this again. This is 5A, so I know that that's a sort of, I'm branching out, so I know that this is just a test. I'm not going to overwrite anything. Let's go ahead and save our texture map here. Oh, I got a workspace that I'm working in. I'll go monster test 1. This will be my diffuse. This bug is super engaged right now. Okay. I don't really like the way that it saves my normal, so I'm actually going to generate new maps for this fella using Materialize again. And let's just say my mom. Okay. Let's export PSD and see what it says. Okay. All right, I'm gonna crack open this Pepsi. Everyone remember to drink Pepsi. So we'll go back to our workspace. Let's put our files. Let's just bust this open. All right, so it sort of saved a test render of that. Okay, back to Materialize. So, where have I got that? Just going to open Materialize again. Cool. Again, this is a free tool. It'll let you generate your physically based rendering files. Ah, this bug. Okay. So, we'll go back to our workspace. We will go to, what was it? What did we call it? Monster test? Test monster? What did we call it? Monster? No, that's a normal map. What in Sam Hill? What have I done? I did something wrong. I'm distracted by this bug that's trying to fly into my eyeball. Monster 1, yeah. I must have saved over it with a normal map, which I don't even want anyway, because I'm going to generate a new one with Materialize, so it doesn't even matter. Okay, so here we go. Again, see, workspace. Let's go ahead and open up that monster test. We want our diffuse map. So this is what our happy boy looks like right now. We want to create our height map first. I'm going to go for detail. I'm going to go cracks, set as height map. Okay. Actually, I want to increase the contrast on it just because. Okay, we'll create our normal maps quickly. Again, I'm not super concerned about this stage. I don't super care. I just want to quickly pump these maps out just to give us an idea because I already know this isn't going to be our, it's not even going to be our final form. All right, let's quickly pump out a metallic map. Quickly one of those guys. I don't really care about smoothness or edge map really. Ambient occlusion. Here we go. We don't want the tile map, definitely not. Let's show the full material so it kind of gives us an idea of what he's going to look like. I already know that I like the look of the bone. It's kind of cool looking. And switch to PNG. Let's go ahead and save this project. Um, I'll create a new folder. I'm going to say test one. Confirm. Open that up, and we'll say answer test one. That's going to pump out our files. Okay, workspace. We've got our test here. Very good. We're going to copy that, and we're going to bring it into Unity. Are we all following along? Is this cool? Everyone cool? Rock on. Okay. So this guy here just has a sort of a placeholder texture on him right now. Let's paste the files in. I've pasted the files in there. All right, let's go ahead and drop our things on there. So he's got his texture in there. I'm just going to start doing the placement. So we'll do the diffuse map, metallic map, the normal map. Now I don't really want a height map in there. Let's go ahead and take that out. And our occlusion. So what's happening here? What happened? What's going on? Ah, okay. Uh, yeah, I know what happened. So you can have two different methods for to ask Sculptress to export your model and arrange its to build its UV map automatically. So the first one, it's arranged its UV maps differently. So I'll just say any one. So we're just going to generate our object again, our fella. He's not rigged anyway, so it doesn't super matter. Okay. So again, this one didn't texture correctly because it's an older version that has its UV map arranged differently. So we'll go ahead and put the new one in there. We've just generated a new file. We're importing it. And all we'll have to do is drag and drop. Okay, so we got our new guy. That was the first test. All right, oh, wrong way, fella. Turn around. Okay, get rid of this guy now. We don't need him anymore. Okay, so when we drag and drop the texture onto this guy, it should be correct now. Which one was it? Was it that one? Yep. Here we go. And no. What happened? Right? Yeah, that's the new one. Oh, I got tiling on. So turn tiling off. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to have to do some manual work uh, in Materialize and my metallic maps. I'll quickly do some work in my metallic map real quick so we can get a better idea of what's going on here. So right now the metallic map says that everything's super shiny. As you can see, everything's really white here. I'm just going to do, this is like a speed hack. This is kind of, you know, a fast and loose and fast, sloppy work here. I'm just going to do this real quick. We go like that. But now everything is going to be much less shiny. But I'm going to clamp my levels down just so you can see the fur areas are going to be much less shiny now. I'll clamp that down like that. Not too much. Again, this is just a test. It's not final. This is just quick sloppy work so I can get a better idea of what it will look like. I'm not super. Here, let's go ahead and do this. So I can see that anything that's white is going to be very shiny. We're going to dial that down by a lot. Let's crank that up like that. Okay, let's see what we get now. You can see that's much worse. I don't like that. Let's just go ahead and do this then. That's real sloppy. Real ugly. But again, I'm just trying to get an idea of uh, what I'll have to do in the later stages to get it to look like how I want. Where are my ambient occlusion maps? And that's what you get when you quickly sort of rush through it and you don't spend too much time. So I had a feeling that the fur was way too light, which it is. This bug is, well, I guess he's part of the stream now. All right. So go away. You can see here, so it's not what's giving an unwanted effect is the bone is pretty much the same color as the fur. So that's not what I want. The fur here is way too light. So we'll quickly generate uh, another version of this guy. We're going back to Sculptress. And I commented on the fur before. I knew it was going to be a lot lighter than I wanted it to be. And our texture is there. We're going to ask for a new one. So I know where my fur texture is. I'm just going to open that up, go back to that, drag that into the toe shop. And what we will do is this. Now I know that I'll make it darker. And I know that the color tone of the bone is actually too similar to this. So what I'm going to do now is just see if that can quickly help. Nope, I don't like that. So what we'll do, I think I'll go to my reds and just adjust this manually. I'll push it closer to the blues. That's purple. That's green. Anyway, we'll get it closer to the blues. Purple. The idea is to get the color temperature to be something different, so it's clearly different from the bone. Go to our magentas. So what we'll do, give us a little bit of blue, those, and then we'll go to our saturation. There we go. Just to give us the color is still too much on that. Let's go ahead and dial that right back. There we go. So it's not exactly black and white, which I think would be pretty boring to look at. It has a bit of a bluey tint to it, which gives it some interest in terms of color. All right. Now, unfortunately, I don't think there's a way to replace that. Okay, that's sucks. Hey, I don't know. I'm gonna try and trick it here, actually. Let's do this. I'm gonna overwrite that fella. I'm gonna save this. I'm gonna open it again and see uh, if that works. What do you mean it's in use? You're in use. All right. Let's open Sculptress again. Okay, open. Hello. Yep. Yep. Drinking Pepsi. No, our hack didn't work. Ah. Am I supposed to save the set? Oh, because it's baked. Ugh. Ugh. All right, fine. Let's add the set. We go to C. Fine. Wait, what? Oh, it didn't save. Hmm. 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 I don't know. Anyway, let's just quickly. I was using brush 4. We'll just quickly make another one. It doesn't. Again, this is just a test. It's not like it super matters anyway. Okay. I'm just gonna use my mouse. I don't even feel like grabbing my tablet for this. Here we go. What is happening? This guy, please. Why you do this? No, I don't. I don't want to do that. Oh, enable. There we go. Directional. Random. See, that's totally not what I want. There's way too much color in that. Okay. Okay. And now I'm kind of feeling like it. I need to bump up the highs on that just a little bit. I'm still not happy with the color. What is up? There are multiple bugs in here now, and it's really irritating me. Okay, here we go. Let's try this. Get rid of that. Okay. Oh, all right. I can't because it was using the thing. It's not going to save it. Here we go. Try it again. Yes, save it, please. Save, save, save. That's the deal. Okay. Cool, cool, cool. All right, that's a little bit more like it. We're just going to go ahead and go over this real sloppy like. Just to give us an idea of what this will look like. Go over all those fur parts. There we go. Go over those parts. Get rid of the old fur. This is why you shouldn't take things to heart when you're doing your first draft. Your early draft should be to give you an idea of what it's going to look like, and then you can analyze it. You can take a step back and look at it and decide what you need to change to make it look better. I'm going to reduce the strength, the hardness, and that, and then I'm just going to quickly. There we go. A little bit like that. All right. Let's go ahead and sure. Okay. Now we have my buttons are missing. What happened? My my buttons to save, to export my textures are gone. What's going on here? They're supposed to be my buttons to export. Where'd my buttons go? Hmm. Well then, what happened? Hey, I'm not super cool with what's happening because those buttons that let me export my texture map is gone. I'm gonna close this. I'm gonna open it, and then I'm gonna see if I can get my buttons back. Hmm. Here's what we'll do. We'll go to paint mode. Okay, clearly I've pushed a button it doesn't like. Where'd my buttons go? Hmm. 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 Cool. Cool. My export buttons are gone. Well, that's annoying. You know, the buttons that were here earlier but are now gone somehow. Why? Why? There we go. I found it. I found it. Nobody panic. So that's one of the annoying things about Sculptor so a little bit is that you can accidentally click on that and then your things are gone and you're not sure why they're gone. Anyway, let me go ahead and open that. We can export our maps now. There we go. Nobody panic. Everything's cool. Yep. Go to paint. Have a sip of Pepsi. Show advanced options. Go ahead and save our texture map again. And then we'll finish this up a little bit, and then we can take a look. I mentioned looking at the battle system and the weapons of 3 down stars, so we'll finish this up, and then we'll have a look at that for a little bit. Okay, so we go to our workspace. Let's go ahead and save this again. What did we call this? Monster Test 1. Sure. Sure, 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 sure. Sure, sure, sure. Yeah, go back to materialize, and then we'll generate our maps again. Monster 1 test. Let's just quickly do this. We'll create. I don't super care about this right now. We just want to make them really quickly. Metallic, actually. No. Oh, that might count. You know what? Let's do that. Okay, set as metallic and create. Set as AO, PNGs. Okay, monster test 1. That will save our maps. Again, we go back to test. That looks like our new version of our files. Sure, please bring me back to Unity. Unity, thank you. Let's get rid of that. Monster test. Paste our files right up in there. It's going to import our new files, and so that gives us a better idea. Again, I didn't cover over all of the fur, so it's not quite what we're looking for. So you can kind of see what's happened here is for some reason the stuff that isn't shiny is sort of reverse. I'm going to go into my metallic maps and I'm going to flip it around. I'm going to invert it just to see the effect that we have. Yep, go ahead, update. I'm going to Alt-I that, and let's go ahead and crank that right up. I've reversed it, I've inverted it, so what's light is dark and what's dark is light. Let that load. Actually, it's just finish saving. So that's gone maybe a little too shiny. What I'm going to do is this. Create an alpha channel here. That's our metallic maps here. Okay, that's saved. Let's go back to this. So you can spend a long time sort of adjusting this and fine-tuning how shiny or not shiny it is. So I'm actually going to do this here. I'm going to go back to my metallic maps. So I'm going to take, let's see here, close those. Nope. Nope, I'm not happy with the effect that I'm getting right now. Bring this in here like that. So inverting it did not give me the effect that I wanted. So what I'm going to do is create. This is like such a sloppy way to do this, but again, I can always come back and I can paint and fine tune each part of the texture. Or And if you're doing this work by hand, you have a lot more control in something like Photoshop than you do uh, in Materialize because you can paint on things and control it by hand. Anyway, that's a little bit closer to what I had in mind. And what we'll do is we'll just rotate this guy and we can see. Now I want to make it so that the fur has a different sort of a sheen to it, so the darks are darker and the highs are higher, and that's something that we can do in Photoshop there. But I'll get to that later, but you can sort of see the idea of what we got going here. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna saturation here. Let's try this. Metallic V2. All right. Oh, hey Sean, what's up? Uh, yeah, this is his tentative name is Panic. Uh, is the name of the monster. He's going to be a bit dog-like uh, in terms of his animations. We're actually somewhere between feline and dog-like. I was actually considering just shortening his snout because it's actually a bit longer than I want it to be. Go back to the metallic. I'll go to the V2 and see. Okay, that might be a little bit closer to what I wanted. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I might want the see the bone has a very wet look to it. I want it to be shiny but dry, and I want the flesh to have its sort of look. So with our V2 here, what I'm gonna do now, so I got us kind of close to what I'd like. I'm gonna actually go to my layer mask. We're going to just do a quick test here and do a V3 now. Save. We good? We good? We good. All right. Drop that in there. And you can see when you invert it, but now that looks real weird, real funny. That's not sort of the look that you want for bone. But now the fur and the flesh is very shiny. So what I'm going to do now, and again, I know that it's not going to give me the look that I'm looking for, but I'm just trying to get an idea here. I'm going to go ahead and so what's happening is here's whatever's black is sort of not shiny and whatever's white is super shiny. I'm actually going to bring that in so that, well, you'll see the effect, and then I'll turn, I'll leave my highs where they are actually. I'll save that as 3 again. 3, okay. Hey, I saw a thumbnail from FU Crew. I didn't get a chance to watch the video, but they said that Stadia is free. Um, do you know anything about that? What's that all about? Oh, hey, so you can sort of see here the now the bone is shiny again after I reduced the lows on that. Uh, and then we do have a bit of texture in terms of where the muscle connects to the bone there. But it's again, it's not exactly what I want, but it's getting closer and closer, so I can see where I need to fine tune it to get it where I need it to be. Um, and again, I'd want the fur. I would have to paint it manually, but the fur will be less shiny. But it's close to what I want. It's not exactly there. I want the bone to be quite dry. The flesh is going to be gooey, squishy, and shiny, and the fur I want to have a drier look than whatever that is. There's this cute little butt with his fur there. And again, when I know which areas are going to have fur, I'm going to inflate, and then I'm going to smoothen those out so that it will look like fur as opposed to just hot skin. Clobbers there. And then I'll go ahead and bring up the render here. this is a higher quality, sort of uses the image effects. So that's yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's giving me a better idea on where to go next in terms of fine tuning it. Uh, you can imagine this guy just silently sort of crawling up behind you and he starts running circles around you. I'd be pretty happy. I'm pretty happy with where we're going with it. He's happy. He's a happy little guy. All right. All right. So Stadia's free, but it sucks because you still have to pay. Uh, well, I mean, he can be T-Rex size if you want. There you go. Now he's a big. Actually, the actual size I kind of had in mind for him was probably closer to this, because he is going to be the feature enemy in the Android game where you are driving, and he uh, is going to be chasing you down in your car. So it's going to be like the Fast and the Furious Silver Falls edition, and um, with dinosaurs, I guess. So uh, it's not really supposed to be a dinosaur, actually. I've been meaning to decrease his snout, but I actually need to shape it so that the mouth can open bigger, and then the snout is supposed to be a bit shorter, and he'll have longer teeth. So anyway, I am not uh, disappointed with how it's turning out so far, but I can see the work that needs to be done next. So those were good tests that we did. I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. So you want to take a look at the sort of the weapon system uh, and some of the mechanics in the combat behind Three Down Stars. I'll go ahead and bust that open. There's a fly here. It's just not leaving me. Let's go ahead and close up out of this stuff. And open this if Unity will be cool. Be cool, man. All right, so I sort of arranged it to try to avoid showing spoilers and things like that. That'd be cool if there was a bigger enemy that was sort of in that style, sort of sitting in the trees and just sort of waiting till you notice him. Um, he's this enemy is going to be so fast moving that I don't think you'll be able to get a chance to shoot him in his mouth. Um, but there will be weak spots, sort of like with the animals in Three Down Stars. They have those random tumor type things. Those things are randomly generated, and if you shoot those, it staggers them. It triggers a special attack. So this guy will have a weak point somewhere. All right, let's go have a look at one of the weapons here. Let me try and find something. Weapon. What weapon do you want to look at? Name a weapon. Say something. I don't know. Here, I'll start out with the. How about this? In one of the later updates, or actually the most recent update, Hebon's Doru. All right, so okay, I guess we can do a little bit of spoilers then. Here we go. We're going to be looking at Hebon's Doru and the Ice Rod. The Ice Rod is actually one of my favorite weapons. We added it recently. So these are here's the sort of the difference between how the game's going to look on future consoles as opposed to 3DS. So this is Heaven's Door right here. Sort of arrange it in a way that it makes sense to look at. Um, so this is vertex lit in terms of shaders. It looks very flat, very boring. It doesn't take into account the environment. Um, I'm just going to randomly switch them on over to standard, and we can have a better look at what they're supposed to look like. Standard like that. Okay. And again, I'm still working on the game, and I'm coding a new control system for it. So actually, the shaders are not quite updating the way they're supposed to. They don't look the way they're supposed to. Um, so they'll look a lot more interesting, but the program is actually flagging a lot of runtime errors, so it's not going to look as good as it's going to uh, when I'm finished fixing things. This is Heaven's Door. Um, what we can look at here, I guess, it's the whole point of the thing, though, is it? Oh, I see. Okay. So because the game is trying to load the code that's designed for the 3DS, which I is not included in this because this is the vanilla PC version. So um, I can't even show that. Here, let me open something here. I'm gonna open this and nobody look, I guess. Don't look. Everybody look away. Uh, 'Cause I can't actually load that because of the runtime errors. Nobody look. I'm serious, you guys. Don't look. 9 out of 10 doctors say to not look. Here we go. Let me open this, and then I'll bring the window over. Then we can have a look. Okay, let's open that. We're just gonna have to wait a minute. So in terms of the weapons, actually, this will be fun for sort of the game developers. This is actually the hitbox. So certain weapons, um, all the weapons have different categories. The Heaven's Door is a stream type weapon, which means that it has one single big hitbox and it just keeps firing and firing and firing. If I wanted to change that hitbox, it's this thing. I mean, I guess if you wanted to hack the game or whatever, you can make it a hitbox that's that big, and I guess you would just kill everything that's in your way, uh, or you can go like that, but that means it hits behind you. But this is sort of the fun side of game development, not the crappy, boring, horrible, miserable part. This is where you get to put multiple weapons side by side and you get to balance them and you get to say, oh, okay, well, this gun's going to be stronger, but it means that the stream is more narrow. Or, oh, this gun's going to be weaker, but it'll have a bigger, area of effect. So you have that. Um, and sort of with a close quarters combat weapon, like nobody look, everyone look away, don't look. I gotta, nobody look. There's nothing on here anyway. Okay, nobody saw anything. Cool, 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 cool. All right, I'll bring this over here. We can have a look at that, and I'll open Heaven's Door. Okay, well, let's have a look. So this is the sort of the data information for Heaven. Come back, baby, come back. So I have some. This is all gobbledygook. It's not very super interesting. What you want to see is this stuff right here. So I open my database, and this is the database information for all my weapons. Um, you have your icon definition. Um, your really interesting stuff here is can it be discarded? Can it forcefully stack? Yada, yada, yada. The ammunition type, you can define the sort of ammunition. Um, this is a good one. Lacks firing recoil. I'm going to shut off my air conditioning here. This is the weapon throwing type. Um, and does it shoot out a projectile if like it shoots a bow or anything like that? And the max stack size, if I wanted heavens, I've got to be careful to not accidentally change anything because this is the live version of the thing here. If I wanted Heaven's Door, if I wanted the max size to be 999, you could change it there. Um, these things are for health uh, or items that you eat and things like that. Here's the good stuff. The weapon, so you got your base power, your amount of piercing. I sort of briefly explained armor and how that works, and the tutorial room in the game that I added does explain armor. You have the I don't use the crit rates, uh, but I could if I wanted. But that's just like um, a dice roll. It's like a 10% chance of triggering the crit rate. The amount of knockback force, 1 is actually pretty low. The stun time is 0.2 seconds. The weapon recoil, that's how much it makes the gun kick back. So that's not super high on that. And then you have the special attack buildup, which triggers the prompt. Uh, let's see here. This is stuff where you can where was I? Oh yeah. So this is freezing instead of stun. So the stun rod would use that. So instead of stunning the enemy, it'll freeze them. And then you have the alchemist elixir, which can turn enemies gold instead of freezing them. Auto fire, obviously, that means if you hold the trigger down, it'll freeze the enemy. It's yeah, it's there's a lot of stuff to it. Um, this is what I love because I'm into RPGs, and I know a lot of you guys are into RPGs as well. This is the growth ramp, so every weapon you can define the growth ramp. Um, you have the base upgrade price. Let's see, and so if you level up one stat for the first level, it'll cost 70. For the second one, it'll cost 140, etc., etc. Um, Oh, whoa. Okay. The ramp is actually a multiplier. So it's actually 70 times 3 for the next level, and then a level after that. And Heaven's Door is actually quite expensive because it's a very powerful weapon, and I'll explain why it's a powerful weapon. You have the growth rate's pretty good on it. The capacity goes up by 8, which is all right. But the main reason why Heaven's Door is such a useful weapon is the special behavior. So you have all of these here, and you can toggle these true or false. So there are many different types of weapons that are sort of hidden properties in Three Down Stars. So you have fire, ice, electric, explosive, trap, tool. There's a tool partial, water, oil, lumberjack, and sport. And that means that if you have um, your skills like pyromaniac that increase your fire weapons. If you have um, electromaniac and cryomaniac, all of those will stack on top of each other, but it actually will all sort of combine. So it would be like if you maxed out your fire and your ice and your electric and your explosives, then you can get um, it'll do like 300 times the amount of damage, something like that. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's secretly. This is like pro tip. There's not that many people in the stream, so you guys get the secret strats here. It's also a water type, um, and there's no skills uh, that are really obvious that boost water type because there's only one item that is water type damage. That's the watering can, and the watering can doesn't normally do damage, but you can upgrade the watering can to do damage. There's one skill that does increase your water output damage by like 80%, which is ridiculous. And there's a secret item. So when you beat the game, you unlock Epilogue 1. Sometimes you'll meet a character in Epilogue 1. His name is Karn, and does he like makes crystals and stuff, and he does glass work. And there's like a 1 out of 20 chance that when he's there sitting on the table, he'll give you an item, and that item it boosts all of your elements by I think it boosts your fire, ice, and electric by 30%, which means that you can stack all of the other elemental boosts, and you can stack that one. It's called Earth Whisper, and Earth Whisper again, it's 30 for that, 30 for that, and 30 for that. So it's a 90% power boost. Um, and you have water on top of that. It also boosts the power of water, and I think that's another 50%. So Heaven's Door, when you combine it with the item you get from Karn, it gives you Earth Whisper. You're going to do insane amounts of damage with Heaven's Door. Um, and of course, when you go to other items, that'll they'll take into account other things. Um, if we'll look at the ice rod. Where is it? Hmm. Ah, there's a fly. Go away. Text is so small on my screen, you have no idea. Um, uh, you have to beat the entire game, but you can't walk forward. You have to beat the whole game um, walking backward. So the game does detect if you push forward on the circle pad. So if at any point you push forward on the circle pad, um, you can't get it. But if you beat the whole game only going backwards, it'll unlock HD, and that means that you can play on the 3DS. It'll be in 4K resolution, um, and it'll be 4D, which means that it adds rumble to the game. So not only is it 3D, but it'll like shake, um, and it'll add Dolby surround sound. Uh, but I mean, you have to beat the game only walking backwards to get HD mode. Oh, right, HD Evan's Door. Um, that is a random item drop, but I think you have to be halfway through normal mode, through the normal difficulty missions on Frontier Fighters. Uh, and I think sometimes, the trading cards that Soldier brings back to camp. I think to even if you're still only on the easy missions on Frontier Fighters, I think you can still get Heaven's Door um, through that. Uh, yeah, this is the information for Ice Rod. It's ice type, so it doesn't get boosts from it. The other stuff, it doesn't use the double cut combo. I know some people out there really like the double cut combo, especially when you've got bigger weapons. The scythe using double cut was meant to um, offset the fact that the scythe is super slow, but when you give it double cut, that's what sort of makes it a much more usable weapon. Um, what's quite unique about the ice rod in terms of it's the only melee weapon that can freeze, but it actually has pretty good knockback, which is really high actually. It's 6, um, and it stuns the enemy for uh, 1.2 seconds, which is pretty high. Uh, and the piercing isn't good. It's not like a stabbing weapon, and it does build up the special. The weapon special buildup is what triggers that special attack prompt to prop up on the enemy. Um, but this one cannot trigger the special buildup because it freezes, so it freezes instead of stuns. Let me. Hi Nanashi, what's up? Welcome back. Hope you had a good dinner. Okay. If wind is added as a damage type, will a weapon that uses earth, wind, and fire? Nice, nice. Um, I if I did that, if I added all those elements, I'd have to have heart, but it would be like a gun that shoots out hearts, I guess, and that would be heart element, and it would be like actual organic hearts, not the happy little shape. And then I would call out Captain Planet, but he would be a horrible, disfigured, writhing mass of flesh, and he would just sort of appear, and then he would be like, "Kill me, my existence is painful, and I don't want to be here anymore." Yeah, and that would be how we call out Captain Planet. So, um, I actually mentioned wind in probably one of my logs that I sort of talked about a bit, but in the Metroidvania style game that I'm working on, the 16-bit game, one of the characters uses a weapon called the air shot, and that is sort of air element. And there's nothing to say that that's an exclusive weapon that's in the 16-bit game, but that's not to say that the code linker wouldn't allow you to take the air shot out of that game and to put it into other games like Three Down Stars. So who knows? Maybe there could be a wind element weapon in the future. Okay. I was considering um, uh, another ability that was triple cut. So if you use double cut, you'll have access to another um, combo attack after that. But I mean, the the game's not meant to feel like a Devil May Cry or anything, and the abilities that are in there are supposed to feel like they're a bit challenging to execute. Like the jump attack is you crouch and then you uncrouch, and then when you're finishing crouching, um, you you stand up and then you attack and then you do a jumping attack. But that's actually really good because it has double the amount of power when it comes to flinching an enemy and triggering. triggering that special attack. Um, I'll show you sort of what guns do here. Let me open up a gun since we like guns so much. You like guns? Uh, Manticore shotgun. People tend to like the Manticore shotgun, so it's pretty basic here. It's strong enough to hunt mythical beasts. This is the Manticore shotgun. Fires explosive, uh, widespread shot, and it's best at close range. So this is another behind the scenes secret thing about the Manticore shotgun that the game doesn't tell you, and that you could potentially accidentally figure out on your own, is the Manticore shotgun is explosive type. So you have characters like Sam Goodwin, and you can get randoms weapons that have explosive booster attached. But if you have explosive booster 1, explosive booster 2, they will actually increase the power of the Manticore shotgun because it's explosive type. So again, the game doesn't tell you that, but you could accidentally figure it out just by messing around with skills. So in terms of raw power, so let's say the power is 25. Let's go ahead and have a look at another shotgun. I'll just let me find another shotgun here. Let's look at the text. You have no idea how small the text is right now. I'm so far away from it. Hmm, hmm, hmm. Okay, so the deer shotgun, the weapon power is 38. So, right out the gate, the Manticore shotgun is not super strong, but again, it does get the boost from explosives. And let me try and find this file here. Where's my inspector for this fellow? Let me open this guy again. Here it is. Uh, Let me see if these compilation errors are going to cause issues here. So you can actually have a look at the Manticore shotgun here. And here's what's so special about the Manticore shotgun is it has a stupid blast range. It's ridiculous. Um, Let me open the deer shotgun and you can compare it. So just um, right out the gate, the deer shotgun is stronger in terms of base power. That's the birding. That's the shotgun. Uh, Let me open this, but you can see the blast range of the deer shotgun is much more focused. So the deer shotgun is much better for long range. You probably get, about 10 to 15 more feet in terms of effectiveness range or more, probably, because you can see the blast range is quite narrow, whereas the Manticore shotgun, it's so spread out. So if you shoot something that's more than like, if you're shooting that fence or whatnot, the majority of your shots are going to miss the target. Um, but if you're pretty close to your target, you're getting uh, you're getting a lot. Whereas this doesn't have that much. So up close, the Manticore shotgun is going to do a stupid amount of damage. Um, I don't know, let's just upscale this really quick. Let's go to standard. All right, let's go to standard. Spec map here. Let's see here, scorpion tail. This is going to take a lot of work, obviously upscaling all of this stuff, but I have a lot of stuff prepared in advance. So you can see we quickly took that Manticore shotgun. We're starting to make it HD and higher resolution. So you can see what I did have in mind. So I have stuff set aside and ready to make the weapons look better. Um, and that's the Manticore shotgun. That's going to take some work. That's Anyway, let's get rid of these guys. We don't. Oops, what have I done? What have I done? Anyway, that one's actually my favorite shotgun in the whole game. And I did mention if we can do another update for the game. Uh, and if I can afford to spend more time on it, I am going to add the redneck gospel, which is something I mentioned before. And I'm still working on a way to design the model that looks like it's not going to snap in half the first time you shoot it. But the redneck gospel is going to be a shotgun that's not super long. It's going to be sawed off to a degree, but it's going to have barrels that point left and right. So if you get swarmed by a lot of enemies, it's gonna help you avoid getting flanked. You'll have a ridiculous spread. It's gonna be more spread than this. So it's gonna have low damage output, but it's gonna have really high knockback. It's gonna have ridiculous spread, even more than this, because it's going to have three barrels that come off the sides. That's going to be the redneck gospel. Um, if I get the chance to do another update for three down stars. But until then, the Manicore shotgun is the. Are there any other weapons you want to look at? Thanks. Uh, um, they told me it would probably take about 2 weeks for them to process. They told me that um, the end of last month, so I'll contact them again in a couple days and we'll see what the go is. But again, they're in just as much chaos as everyone else in the world. Um, Everyone's sort of having to reorganize the way they work and the way their office works. What is a duck foot shotgun? What is that? You want me to put duck feet on a shotgun? Someone mentioned the Blizzard gun. Um, Someone on Twitter mentioned, where is it? Weapon. Let's get the Blizzard in here. Weapon. Okay. So again, this is the mobile Vertex lit version of these graphics, so it looks super basic. And again, even though I'm sort of updating the textures on it, it's not going to look 100% until I finish programming the new control scheme. Otherwise, it'll keep creating compiling errors. So, even this isn't going to look quite right. Uh, I need to finish programming that control scheme anyway. Put a light in here just so it's interesting to look at. There. See, it's not even rendering the light correctly because of the compiling errors. So, yeah, I'll have to do more work. But this is the Blizzard gun. I'm going to have to do a lot of work to upscale the graphics because um, I didn't have upscaling in mind when I was creating this weapon. So it looks a bit, a little bit basic, but we'll get there. We'll get there. That's the Blizzard gun. And that freezes enemies. I hope you got ice puns ready. So if yeah, someone mentioned it seemed like it had really big range for a spray weapon. That's actually what it is. So in terms of forward distance, it's not as I think Heaven's Door goes farther, but the Blizzard gun reaches left and right. And the Blizzard gun, it does freeze. So that's one of my favorite weapons actually. I really super like this guy. And I did want to create I have an HD version of this thing, or that's a little better, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I did want to make elemental combination weapons. Uh, I wanted to make the volcano gun, which was going to be electric and fire. Um, I don't have the time for that at the moment. And I did want to make the thunderstorm gun, which was going to be electric and ice. So they would be stronger than the normal elemental weapons, but not quite as strong as Heaven's Door. But they would still benefit from stacking those elemental boosts on top of each other. So that's something for the future. If we get a chance to do more updates, I would like to do the you know those the volcano and the thunderstorm gun. Well, anyway, I don't know if you wanted to look at any more weapons or anything. Okay, okay. You sent me a duck foot gun. Let me. Where's my device? I wanna. Okay. Yeah, a little bit like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. But the see, this looks like it was. Let me grab this. See this? This looks like something that was made. Uh, and the redneck gospel is supposed to look like um, someone was sitting in their backyard and had too much free time, maybe a little bit of moonshine or silver courage, uh, and they thought, "Hey, what if I took these guns and put them together?" And then they put it together. This looks like it was made. This looks like it was meant to be this way. The redneck shotgun is supposed to look like, uh, yeah, someone made it just because, and it'll probably blow your hand off if you try to shoot it. So that was my idea behind the redneck shotgun. So yeah, 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 yeah. Anyway, so I'll probably end the stream in a minute or two. Uh, Thanks for hanging out, you guys. I'm gonna consider what to do about this fella. See, like especially with this, you don't want a smooth transition, which is why I made that's why I made that brush. Hold on, so you can. That's not quite right. Now it's not really doing my brush here. It's not doing my brush, which I'm not happy with. I might have to load it in again. Um, Here we go. It's not doing my brush, so it's try clicking enable. It's kind of doing my brush. Wait, I'm going to zoom out. Why you be this way? See, it's not really doing my brush correctly, which I'm not super happy about. I'm just gonna I'll probably have to turn it off and on again and restart, but it's not, it's just doing like a generic sort of thing, and it's not doing the actual texture that I've defined in my brush. So I might have to turn it off and on again. It's sort of freaking out a little bit. Hmm. 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 Anyway, yeah, I'll be working on this more. I'll rig it up and then we can start animating it, but I'll rig it up. Not on a stream because rigging is extra boring. It hurts my brain. I'm not amazing at rigging. I can do it, but I don't enjoy it. And especially when you're rigging up something that has a weird body structure, and you don't really have good references in real life to do it. So yeah, I'll do that off screen so you guys don't have to worry about how boring the rigging process is. Figure out why that's not painting correctly, and hey, we're getting there. We are getting there. Oh, Nanashi, you didn't get to see the creature when it was finished, did you? Let's go ahead and open up this thing real quick, and you can have a look. It's this guy. So I'm still working on the texture maps and getting everything to look just right. So far, this is where we are at. It's going to take quite a bit more work to finish, but we've made a decent amount of progress, and it's been fun hanging out on the stream. And if we zoom in, we can. This is going to be very hard to tell because he's probably never going to hold still, so you might only get a very rare chance to see it. But he does have those delicious, delicious looking vestigial hands. Oh, it is hard to see on the camera. Let's just move the camera forward, actually. Let's grab this. Let's grab this. Hey, come on. Give me the camera. Excuse me there. All right, here. Yeah, cool, 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 cool. We can have a closer look at this fella. If we move the camera here, we can have a closer look. Where are we? Yeah, I like this gross sort of meaty look that his hands have there. So it's actually pretty hard to see it. So it's a subtle detail, and up front, um, if you're looking at him head on, you're not going to see it that well. But if you see it from the side, you'll be able to see this underdeveloped vestigial hand that's still stuck inside of his body and never came out properly. Yeah, well, I don't enjoy rigging. Everyone has things that they like and things that they despise, and rigging is something that I despise. No, thanks. Oh, you can't say no to pizza and beer. That sounds like a good dinner. Um, but yeah, you get to see the end result. I mean, the end result for today. We're going to work on it some more. So what I'm going to do is the areas that I know that I'll be putting fur on the guy, I'm going to smoothen it out, and then I'm going to puff out the model so it looks like there's actual fur there. So this will probably take a couple more days before it's usable and finished. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed looking at this fella. I'll be doing a bit more work on it. And again, the tools that I used to generate the textures and to paint it up, they're free. I used Materialize to generate the textures, well, the extra maps and stuff, and some Photoshop, of course. But you can use other free tools. Um, and I used Sculptress to paint this guy. So yeah, and like I said, this guy is going to be in Silver Falls Android. Um, but if Three Down Stars does sell well enough, uh, and I can afford to spend a couple more weeks on updates, then I will add this guy. I would like to do some more Frontier Fighter missions, and if I do that, I'll add this guy, and then you can have a new enemy to play with, a new happy friend to play with. So these parts didn't turn out too badly. Um, yeah, this was a decent test. I'm not too sad about it. Not too sad. So yeah, thanks for hanging out on the stream, guys. It's been fun hanging out. Uh, yeah, I hope you had fun looking at the game, and I'm looking at the behind the scenes stuff in terms of how the weapons and battle system work. The new update 1.3, there I added some notes to camp, so they do explain a little bit more of some of the intricate details of the battle system. Um, so it'll help you with sort of figuring out some of the more obscure stuff. But yeah, there's a lot to the battle system, and I hope when the update does come out that you can enjoy all of Frontier Fighters. And yeah, thanks a lot, guys. We'll catch you again next time. See you, everyone. Be safe, be healthy. Bye.